The Bills entered the 2022 NFL Draft with one glaring need on their roster, and that was at cornerback. Starting corner Levi Wallace left in free agency for the Steelers, and lockdown corner Tre'Davious White is still dealing with his torn ACL. The only corner with considerable playing time was Dane Jackson. General Manager Brandon Beane jumped up 2 spots to secure their future cornerback 2 by selecting Kaiir Elam from Florida. While Elam is young, having just turned 21 on May 5th, his maturity and football intelligence are well beyond his years, and that can be attributed to his upbringing. Elam is the son of former NFL safety Abram Elam and the nephew of safety Matt Elam, who also attended Florida and was drafted in the first round. So Kaiir has a head start on a large majority of the draft prospects on what it takes to be a pro.
For me, like I go in, I'm really proactive. Like I do like little mobility and acupuncture and go in and get massages early in the morning. Do like mobility and stretching drills early in the morning. But I always bring my iPad with me and I'm always taking notes and trying to get that little extra edge on any receivers, any teams, any formations, splits, alignments, assignments, things like that. So I feel like that's really helped me for my freshman and my junior year, just slowing the game down and really just trying to be successful.
He also understands the importance of film study and how being able to properly study film can help him on the field.
It was something I watched on film. All week, when they get in the red zone, they like to, when the slots are on and off, they like to do double move. He tried to do a slant go, and I had my head back for the ball. Made a play.
Adding Elam's maturity level, football intelligence, and ambition to be great, along with his size and speed to the Bills' defense, will open up the playbook for Leslie Frazier. For a big corner, he has amazing feet. He's quick in his back pedal and rarely gets stuck in transition. His feet give him the confidence and the ability to play up near the line of scrimmage, where he's able to mirror releases of his adversaries with ease. If you need him to disrupt the timing of a passing play, he has the mentality to execute press man coverage and the athleticism to boot. Elam can get into the kitchen of opposing receivers and lean on them throughout the route stem. That sort of close quarters combat can be taxing and downright overwhelming every single play. Watch how physical Elam is on this play. Elam is patient off the snap, and his initial punch stuns the receiver. It's so effective, he takes a quick peek at the quarterback and recognizes it's a one-step drop, and that the possible 50-50 or back shoulder ball is about to be attempted. So he motors out with his feet to open his hips and transitions from his left hand to his right hand. This helps him stay connected to the receiver. Once he gets his near hand on the receiver, he looks up to track the ball. Once he has a good idea of the trajectory of the ball, he gets both hands on the receiver while backpedaling and tracking the ball. And as the receiver is leaning into his body, Elam climbs the ladder for the interception. The combination of physicality at the line of scrimmage, body control, fluidity, tracking, and ball skills are downright special on this play. And this was a play from 2019. Elam displays an uncanny ability to stay connected to a receiver in order to mirror and mimic their movement. Look at how he gets his hands on the receiver and eyes on the quarterback. He's able to do this because he reads the route and uses the boundary as another defender. There is nowhere to go with the ball. And have you noticed his peripheral awareness and closing speed? Elam is in perpetual motion through traffic and has a closing speed to close the gap and make a play on the ball at the catch point. That 4.39 speed allows him to make plays like this. Devontae Smith is running a shallow crossing route with Elam in coverage. Look at how he is able to leverage Smith across the entire field to make the tackle. Want a better example? How about this 4th and 3 stop by Elam, once again against Smith? Elam is keyed into John Mechie attempting to set the rub to free up Smith. So Elam loses ground, but then gains ground on Smith once he clears Mechie. He completely took away any green that was created during the mesh. That's an incredible display of leveraging the ball and speed. No disrespect to any of the Bills' defensive backs, but I'm not so sure the Bills would trust anyone in their secondary to call this coverage. And that's because I'm not so sure that any of the defensive backs have the speed to hang with Smith on this play. The dude is just so impressive in man coverage, and he can rely on any number of his physical traits to win a rep. And he won way more reps than he lost in the SEC when he was asked to play man coverage. In his 3 seasons at UF, he had a 24% force and completion rate and a 55.6 passer rating against. And not many visitors to Elam Island have had success, even in the SEC. And that's because Elam has the utmost confidence in his skills.
I really get excited being on the island by myself because I feel like I'm better than everybody I play against. I'm looking to dominate you.
The Florida native is able to choke routes at all three levels. He can quickly take away any space receivers believe they could create. He has the patience and trust in his feet and speed to stay in receivers' hip pockets. He's not afraid of getting beat deep because of his recovery speed, so he will shadow a receiver's every move. When receivers try to take him vertically, Elam routinely stays on the high side and then plays into the receiver, making it difficult for them to stack him. But he also chokes the route downfield, leaving very little room down the field for receivers to operate as the ball drops in. Perfect throws and late hands catches will need to be executed in order to get a pass up and over Elam. While I'm excited at how the Bills will be able to play more press or tight man coverage with Elam in the lineup, some of you are probably asking, what about off coverage or even zone coverage? How does he fare when asked to use those techniques or coverages? Elam's speed allows him to still make plays on the ball when in off man or zone coverage. Usually, the Bills are content defending deep and allowing those short throws. And aside from White, they don't have guys that can read those quick hitters fast enough and the speed to close on the ball from depth. When White is in off coverage, he has a unique ability to drive on the ball and make a play at the catch point, and not just pass breakups, interceptions. Well, Elam possesses that trait as well. He has the processing speed to recognize the quick game and the closing speed to shut down those throws that are usually gimmies by the Bills' defense. This is essentially the same route you saw White break on twice, a speed out from a nasty alignment, and just like White, Elam makes a play. Look at how quickly Elam diagnoses this spacing concept meant to stretch a defense horizontally. He immediately breaks on the ball and works around the receiver to break up the pass. Here Ole Miss tries running a sticks concept with all of the receivers running curl routes at the sticks. The QB wants to work the weak side of the formation, but Elam helps shut down this play with patience. In the very same game, Elam stays over the top to take away the deep corner on this snag concept. Elam wasn't asked to do it often in college, but he has shown the ability to play zone coverage and was even better in pattern match situations because of his ability to diagnose route concepts. Here you can see Florida playing a similar 3/2 coverage as the last play, with Elam trapping the number 2 receiver if he runs an out route. As soon as Elam senses the receiver breaking, he drives on the target, so the quarterback is forced to pull it down and scramble. The young corner does a great job of covering down on targets that are entering his zone, which can deter throws by the quarterback. But I will say that he needs to improve his zone spacing. There are times where he's off of his divider in cover 3, or a little too loose, which can open up dig routes or shots up the seam. And I believe that he needs to work on playing high to low when he's in a too deep coverage, and teams are trying to read him. There are times where he will play too low and allow the deeper option to sneak behind him. And that goes completely against the philosophy of the Bills. But all of these techniques are easily coachable. Elam is a physical player, and at times it can get him into trouble. His hands-on approach with receivers drew 7 penalties in 2021, including 4 defensive holding calls and 2 pass interference penalties, which coincidentally enough was also an issue for Trey White coming out of LSU. But the biggest wart to his game is his tackling. While he had a similar missed tackle rate as White coming out of college, Elam leaves a lot more to be desired. There are times where he is disinterested in coming up to make the tackle. It's as if he is waiting for someone else to make the tackle. Sometimes he makes contact with the receiver looking to block him and becomes a spectator. One could argue that there are some reps where business decisions were being made, and we know that won't fly in the Bills' defense. The Bills' veteran-led defense will hold him much more accountable for his actions, so I don't think it would be a major issue. There are many different tackling forms based on the angle of the defender and the situation, but almost none of them teach tackling without bringing their arms to wrap up the ball carrier. Throwing your body or lunging at the legs of a defender is a low percentage tackle and increases the likelihood of injury. The Bills saw that firsthand with Taron Johnson. Focusing on the angle to the ball, keeping his feet moving, and running through the tackle will help a ton. And if there's one area where his 30 7/8 arms create issues, it's in his tackling. Elam struggles to wrap and lock up around the legs of ball carriers, which is understandable for a guy with his size and speed. But it's all about consistency. Sometimes corners are going to have to come up and contain runs and or make the tackle. He needs to play with that in mind on every snap. Elam has to find a safe and technical way to bring down ball carriers to do his 111th. And he has film of him doing it, he just needs to do it more. Because his approach, body control, and tackling form will be even more important in the Bills' scheme because of how much speed he will have built up trying to make tackles from depth. His angle and ability to throttle down and wrap up ball carriers will be tested with how much off coverage the Bills play. But given his self-drive, I have faith that he can clean up his technique. I've heard several analysts say that Elam is a traitsy corner, which is the kind of corner that Bills fans have been clamoring for years. But I think that's brushing aside Elam's football intelligence. His former coach, Torian Gray, told Tim Graham of The Athletic that Elam was a professional coming out of high school. Most true freshmen don't have the attention to detail like Elam did. His family and NFL pedigree taught him how to be a pro at a young age. Such things as how to take care of his body, how to watch film, and how to take what he's taught in the classroom to the field. So sure, he has incredible physical traits, and those traits allow him to play with confidence needed to excel at the next level. Elam plays with patience and physicality up near the line of scrimmage, which can expose receivers who are inferior athletes or don't have a release plan. His quickness, speed, and ability to disrupt receivers forces them to have to work for every blade of grass. And he has the feet to mirror any type of receiver at every level of the field. Plugging Elam into the cornerback 2 spot will open up the defensive playbook and make the Bills' defense a lot less limited. Leslie Frazier will still be able to call his base coverages, but now, when the defense needs to close out a drive or a game, Frazier can become a lot more exotic. After all, he has some new pass rush elements up front, including future Hall of Famer Von Miller. So QBs will be a lot less comfortable on the spot and under more duress, while the coverage on the back end will now be a lot tighter with some of the calls Frazier can dial up and with Elam in the lineup. Brandon Beane went up to pick 23 to get a guy he could get excited about. And we could see why, because Kaiir Elam is a great fit.